Hello, everyone. My name is Stacy Nell. I'm the Executive Director of the Kansas African American Affairs Commission. I am taping a special lunch and learn today, and it's just me. So it's just going to be me and a talking head and lots of information to talk about redistricting. Now, redistricting has been in the news a lot lately, and it's something that you may have heard about. And so today, I really hope to just give some background information so that as you're seeing things in the news, you have any idea, you can follow along and know what's going on. Okay, let me see if I can get my PowerPoint presentation up and running. So redistricting, we're going to talk about what it is. We're going to talk about what we know, what we don't know, what may happen, what it would mean for our communities. Redistricting defined. So this is currently a map of the congressional district right now in Kansas Congressional District 2, and you can see that it's like a weird, weird shape. But here's where we start with this redistricting. It all starts with the census. The last time that we had a United States census was in 2020, and the next one is not scheduled until 2030. They happen every 10 years, with the reason being to count the population and to track where people are living and any population changes. This data primarily is used to determine how many representatives that each state has for the United States Congressional House of Representatives. Now, first, not to be confused with the Kansas Legislature House of Representatives. This is a conversation dealing with the United States House of Representatives, the one in Washington, D.C. Currently, given the population of Kansas, we are allowed 4 United States representatives. And right now, 3 of those are Republican and 1 is a Democrat. When drawing congressional maps, generally speaking, the aim is to have similar populations, population density and number wise, so that each person represents roughly the same amount of people. So population density will become a factor in drawing new maps. Now, the actual decision in terms of how lines are drawn, it goes to the states. So in Kansas, all of the district lines, federal, state board of education, are drawn by now the Kansas legislature. In 2021, after the census that was in 2020, the Kansas legislature proposed and debated several maps. It went through lots of discussion. In fact, there were 14 town halls that were open to the public for people to give comment and concerns about proposed maps. The controversy then was that the maps were drawn specifically to draw United States Representative Sharice Davids out of her district. She's the one Democrat who has been elected as a United States House of Representative in the state of Kansas. That plan, and indeed that map that passed, which is on the screen right now, which might be hard to see, but divided Wyandotte County roughly along I-70, so that the north half of Wyandotte County was in one congressional district and the south half of Wyandotte County was in another. Now, one thing I do want to say about that map, full disclosure, those maps wound up in court because people were upset. And CAC did provide testimony to the Kansas Supreme Court that the maps were racial gerrymandered, effectively cracking the minority voting bloc in Wyandotte County. Ultimately, the Kansas Supreme Court didn't agree with those arguments and the new maps stand. So it's those maps, those 2021 maps that are actually being discussed about changing now. Interestingly enough, the map that they legitimately said we were designing this map to draw Sharice Davids out of a district in 2022, Sharice Davids ran and won. And then she ran and won again in 2024. So despite maps that were drawn specifically to remove her, she continues to win. So they're going to continue to try to draw maps again. Now, so what's happening now? This is where we're all in new territory, which is why we're having this conversation. There have been nationwide calls starting from the top all the way down to do redistricting, with the goal being to change the partisan makeup of the United States House of Representatives. So this is what's going on in Washington. And it's a partisan effort, but where we find ourselves is that it's just tit for tat. It's just states are going back and forth tit for tat. There are states that, as of this taping, have already acted. Texas and Missouri, you may have heard about them actually passing new maps to redraw the districts in order for the Republicans to gain seats. But I do want to make clear, and I know this print is tiny, the thing that's important about this print is that there are Democratic states that are also doing this. So redrawing maps and gerrymandering is something that both parties do because political gerrymandering is actually legal. Racial gerrymandering is not legal, but political gerrymandering is. So that's a conversation for another day. So both Republican states are doing this, and Democratic states are also trying to do this. I think the one that's probably been the most in the news has been California to try to balance out any gains that were made in Texas. Okay, that's all we know. Here's what we don't know and why it's in the news right now. As of this taping, and today is October 15th, Wednesday, October 15th, there are hints, incidents and accidents, and hints and allegations about potentially there being a special session in the Kansas legislature in order to redraw maps. As of right now, that has not happened. The governor has indicated that she's not going to call a special session of the legislature. And the Kansas legislature can call a special session, but they need to gain two-thirds signatures on a petition in order to call a special session. Again, as of this taping right now, it's like just a little before 1 o'clock on Wednesday, the 15th. That has not happened. Also, we have not seen any new maps. There have been no town halls scheduled and really no details about what's going on. Right now, everything's rumor. I want to be very clear. Right now, it's all rumor, although it does seem likely that it's probably going to happen with a special session. So here's where it comes down to why it's important for we as voters and here in the state of Kansas to know what's going on with lines. No matter what party you're in, no matter what you think about this, if there's new lines, that means there's going to be new representation. The reason why that lines are drawn with census data is to, one, know where people live in order to draw effective lines, to know population demographics, to know how things have moved, with the whole idea of having an accurate count so that people we just know where the population is. When they're drawing lines in between censuses, that means that we are not working with accurate data, really. Also, remember how I said that the population of each district is roughly the same? They try to have roughly the same population. When it becomes skewed in either direction, we sort of lose the one person, one vote concerns. Lastly, one thing I would say with partisan redistricting is that that's designed for politicians to pick their voters as opposed to having their voters pick their politicians. So if maps are drawn specifically in a way to make sure that one party wins, like I said, California's trying to do it with Democrats, that means that people may not be even able to elect a person who represents really what the population thinks. Every community in Kansas is going to be impacted by redistricting. No matter how they draw these lines, all the lines are going to have to move, right? That's the thing. In order to keep stimulate a population balance, all of the lines are going to have to move. And since we don't have new census data, all the population information is going to be skewed. People have moved around. It's 2025 now. The last census is now 5 years old. And so that's going to impact rural areas as much as it's going to impact urban areas. Also, these new lines are not being drawn to ensure that the voice of the people is actually heard. The lines are drawn specifically to gain a political balance in the United States House of Representatives. So the point is not actually finding good representation for people in Kansas. The point is the numbers game for the national level. So I think that's just basically how it works. Right now, final tips, final takeaways here is that right now, as of the 15th, nothing officially has happened. But I know it's been in the news and there's been so much talk about it. I wanted to sort of get some facts out there. So, contact your legislator. Contact your legislator, find out what that person thinks about redistricting. If you have formed an opinion about what you think about redistricting, tell your legislator, and I should clarify, your Kansas legislature, because it's the Kansas legislature that draws the lines to determine the United States House of Representatives situation. Okay, so I know that sometimes it can be confusing. So contact your Kansas legislature and tell them what you think about it. Ask them what they think about it. Please be respectful, right? I know we're in a political climate here where it seems like being respectful is becoming a lost art. So please be respectful. Remember that we're all humans here. We're all doing the best we can with what we've got. And whether you currently are a registered voter right now or not, if you're registered to vote in Kansas or not, if you live in Kansas, these lines are going to impact you because this is to determine our representation on the national level. So that's it for me. In the show notes, I'm going to put links to where you can look up, you can put in your address and know who your representatives are so that you know who you need to contact when I say contact your representatives. And links to what the maps look like now. Actually, Wikipedia has a wonderful interactive map of the Kansas legislative districts that I was playing with. I'm like, this is kind of fun. And all that type of information. Again, just keep an eye on what's going on. Stay civically engaged. And I want to remind everyone, actually, yesterday was the last day to register to vote. So I want to remind everyone to start to get a plan for how you're going to vote in these upcoming elections here in 2025. There are elections in 2025. And yeah, make a plan for how you're going to vote here in 2025. And I will see everybody next time. Thanks.